Browns starting the week of practice here. They will head to Cincinnati on Sunday, and they do it with a brand new quarterback. Dorian Thompson-Robinson will make his first start of the season on Sunday against the Bengals. And Mary Kay, we got to hear from Dorian today. What stood out to you about what Dorian said about this opportunity?
Well, first of all, Dorian Thompson-Robinson knows that he has to get the TD to interception ratio fixed. It's 1 TD to 7 interceptions right now, including 0 and 3 for this season. So that's not going to fly. The last time he played the Cincinnati Bengals, he threw 2 interceptions, and that was in relief of Deshaun Watson just back in midseason. And so he knows that he's got to get that fixed because, lo and behold, that is the reason that Jameis Winston got benched. So he's got to go out there and he's got to play clean ball. He knows that. Last year, he threw 1 touchdown and 4 interceptions. So once again, he needs to go prove that he could do something that Jameis couldn't do this season.
And Ashley, one of the other things he talked about was, viewing this as an audition. Now, we don't know exactly what that would be an audition for. Obviously, he's thinking about the starting role. But as we talked about on the podcast the other day, it's really just about making your case for some sort of role on this roster as you head into the spring. And for Dorian, it's about making the case for some sort of future in that quarterback room.
Yeah, I think, too, we talked about he has the potential, I think, to do more damage than to help himself, just given the outlook of this quarterback room. But the biggest thing, I think, to remember is this room is not just in flux at the top of the depth chart with Deshaun Watson. What are they going to do with him? I really think holistically, there's a lot of stuff up in the air, right? Including Dorian's place on this roster. So I think if he goes out there, does some good things, like you said, he maybe makes the case for himself to be on the roster in the winter, maybe not necessarily the for sure backup, but one step at a time, I think, as far as DTR is concerned.
Now, no surprise, Jameis Winston handled this like a pro. He spoke to us today as well, said that it's his job to continue to serve this football team. It's in a different role, but it's his job to continue to do what he's been doing serving this football team. And Mary Kay, he was pretty defiant about the idea of him not starting again in the NFL. He does believe that he is a starter in this league if he can get that one bad part of his game, the interceptions, taken care of.
Absolutely. And, I think that he really truly believes that he showed enough this season that another team will come calling if he doesn't re-sign with the Browns. That's, of course, the big question. Once again, the quarterback room of the Cleveland Browns is in a total state of flux. You've got, again, Dorian Thompson-Robinson using these starts as an audition to try to start for the Browns next year. You have to wonder if Jameis Winston might come back at all, and if he does, in what capacity. You've got Deshaun Watson recovering from the ruptured Achilles and coming back also in some capacity to compete, to try to get his starting job back. And then they will also go out and look for a bona fide true upgrade at QB1 somewhere. Draft, free agency, trade. So Jameis, will he be part of the mix? Will he not be? There's a slight chance he has played his last ball for the Browns.
Yeah, and Ashley, Jameis has talked about wanting to be a starter again, wanting to lead a team to a Super Bowl. It doesn't feel like that would happen here, but there's going to be a quarterback carousel that happens. It's already started with the Falcons likely having to move on from Kirk Cousins after this season. And you would think when people talk about veteran quarterbacks, they'll at least throw out Jameis Winston's name.
You've got to think so. And I also can't help but wonder if the Browns go out over these final 3 games and it's not Jameis and it is DTR or a combination of DTR and Bailey Zappi and things look significantly worse, might that help Jameis's case and might it make people at least forget or maybe be able to more easily excuse some of his interceptions and start to dive into the film and say, this one's not really his fault. It went off Nick Chubb's hands, or this one's not really his fault. It's not his fault. Elijah Moore is on the shorter side compared to some of the DBs targeting him. So I do wonder if that might ultimately help his case around the league and say, this is a guy who helped turn a struggling offense around, who made Jerry Jeudy, helped him put up Pro Bowl numbers. I think, too, that is an opportunity to maybe change the discussion about him across the league a little bit.
Now, on the injury front, the Browns are heading to Cincinnati to face one of the best passing offenses in the league. Already without Greg Newsome, they might be without Martin Emerson. He's in the concussion protocol. On the pass-catching side of things, Mary Kay, and this is where it's really important for Dorian Thompson-Robinson, David Njoku did not practice today, and Cedric Tillman remains in the concussion protocol as well.
Yeah, Dorian is going to need those two guys, at least one of those guys, or he's going to find out the hard way what Jameis Winston found out the last time he went out and played against the Kansas City Chiefs, that it is very, very difficult to play that tall ball, to throw the ball into the red zone or the end zone when you're trying to target maybe not as tall of a receiver or pass catcher as you would like to have there. A lot of his interceptions came on passes to the 5'10" Elijah Moore. And, that is not something that Dorian is necessarily going to be able to do. So hopefully for him, he will have his high school buddy back out there in Ced Tillman. That will help a lot.
Yeah, that was the point I was going to bring up, Ashley. These two at least know each other very well, and you've got to think at this point with Tillman, he's back at practice. We have seen him in the locker room, so he's certainly making progress. It's just about clearing those last few steps of the protocol.
Yeah, and we know he got close last week. I think we were actually surprised on Friday when they went ahead and scratched him because he did actually return to practice last week. So it seems like things are trending in the right direction. Dorian today said they're like bread and butter, understandable. They actually were both receivers before Dorian made the switch to quarterback when they were both at Bishop Gorman High School in Vegas, and said quickly became his favorite target there. They won state titles and all of those things. So two guys who know each other really well, and I think having said back will certainly hopefully help ease some of those jitters, any jitters that Dorian has going into this game.
Okay, we will cover everything that happens leading up to Dorian Thompson-Robinson's first start of the season at cleveland.com/Browns.